Yeah, so this time in English. I haven't translated the documents, so I'll do it live. I wanted to talk about the masteries, since many people don't really know precisely what they do. Like this augmentation, 50% bonus attack damage and so on, is quite obscure if you don't really think about it. So I decided to make this document and a video about it to really explain what it does when you put mastery points in different categories. So, for example, this one, I'm gonna pass about a few masteries because they're really self-explanatory, like this one. 3% damage doesn't really talk to many people. If we compare different games I had, like this one I played Ramus, 23,000 damage. We see that if I had that mastery, I would have done 700 damage bonus, which isn't that bad. And if we compare it to this one, I have no idea how I did that much damage. Just don't ask. We see that the augmentation would be 2,000 damage, which is quite interesting. There. Many people will say, yeah, well, if you play an ADC, you do that in 2 attacks. Yeah, but still, I was playing a tank, so shut up. Right, so 2% lifesteal and 2% spell vamp. That's this one. It might seem like really low, and in fact, it isn't that bad. Because if you take Riven, for instance, Riven ratios, there. So you see, you can find the ratios on this site. It's Mobile take extreme caution when you follow guys on Mobile because usually they're quite awful. This one isn't that bad, but yeah, well, whatever. It's great for the ratios. I use it for that. On the ratios, if we see for 300 AD, which means 200 bonus AD, since Riven has something like 100, I think she has 107. I checked it out, but I don't have it under my tabs. So for 300 AD, her Q spell would regenerate with the spell vamp 9 HP per Q spell, and for the maximum damage on her R, you would regenerate 14 HP with the 2%, which means if you use everything you have for the lifesteal, you have the calculations here, 3 bonus HP for the passive, and 6 for the auto attacks and so on, you would regenerate for 3 auto attacks, applying the passive of course, 3 Q spells, a W and R, on someone with 100 armor and so on, you would regenerate 57 HP. And that's quite low, but if you do that the whole game, you're gonna regenerate something like minimum 500 HP or something. I don't know precisely, but it won't be that low. And 500 damage regenerated compared to the 3% before isn't that bad. So this mastery is in fact quite interesting. I prefer it to the second one on most cases, because gaining that much damage as at level 18 isn't that awesome. Well, you're gonna have something like 300 damage and so on. It's really not that awesome. I think it's quite bad. Yeah. So, now if we take into account other stuff, like this one. This is basic. Damage, same thing. 7% bonus penetration is quite interesting, because if you take into consideration this one, for example, it gives 15% bonus resistance to your target, which means on a target with 1000 HP, normally for 100 armor, you would need 2000 damage to kill it. And if you have 15% bonus, you do you need 2150 damage in reality to kill it, which is really interesting. That means 7% is the opposite. You would need something like 1930 damage to kill the target. So it's just the opposite mechanic. Yeah. So this one is completely overpowered. This thing is awesome. Every time you do a crit on a target, let's say you do, where's my calculation? Where are you? I lost it, there. If you do 600 damage as a crit, which isn't really hard to attain, you're gonna regenerate 90 HP. And that's really interesting because the cooldown is quite low. It's for a 2-second cooldown. So you're gonna regenerate like a pig. It is really overpowered. And you gain 20% attack speed for 4 seconds. It's just insane. This thing is awesome. On the other hand, the next one, this one, is quite weak. Because you need 10 attacks to stack it, and it applies only on auto attacks. It's not an unhit effect. The unhit effect is the stack. So like if you have Sated Devourer and stuff, you're gonna stack faster the 80 damage bonus effect. It applies lifesteal because it is physical damage bonus. It's same as the Riven's passive, but as you saw, the Riven passive doesn't regenerate that much, so this one won't either, unless you have lots of lifesteal. And the other interesting fact is that it applies against armor. So that means you're gonna do, in reality, for 100 armor, which is most of the champions, since you see like the weakest armor champion is Gnar, except Trash was Trash's special. 65 armor at level 18, and most characters like ADCs and so on have like 82, Soraka 88, Rammus 100, he's the best, and Annie 87 and so on. If you get the 9 armor rune thing, well, you're almost at 100 on almost all the champs in the game. So yeah, you're gonna do something like 40 damage at level 18 stacked at 10 stacks. It's not that awesome. So if you compare to this one is even weaker. People see the 50% stuff and so on, they're like, wow, huge, awesome, insane, Chuck Norris. And in fact, no, it's not. Because if you have 380 and you have 700 AP, in reality, you're going to do something like 35 per second after application of the armor, and 49 per second. Oh no, sorry, forgot the armor thing. I didn't talk about it. It's wrong. So 35 per second and 49 per second without the magic resist. So now if you take into account the magic resist, most champs have between 53 and 30 armor. 53 is for the melees, except these. No one cares about those. Die! Okay, sorry. Traumatized. So that means something like 35% reduction to 23% if you have 30. That means in reality 32 damage per second and 38 for 700 AP and 380 is not that much. And if you take into account the base HP regen of the champions, which you can find on the internet, well, in reality, if you take that into account, you're really going to do between 21 and 36 damage per second for the AP, I think, and no, yeah, for the AP, this is 80 and this is AP. On the weakest regen, those that's Mordekaiser, and on the best, Heimerdinger, 15 to 30. It's really weak, 15 damage per second. Hello. How do you manage a kill with that? It's too weak. So there we go. These masteries suck. So, next part. Let's talk about these. So this is self-explanatory. This is like 15 HP to 12 HP bonus on every potion you take, which is not that awesome. But 10 bonus mana And that is the only way to regenerate mana right now. Mana potions have been deleted, so you need this thing. It's awesome. Bonus damage, we talked about it. And this one, mana regen thing, it's missing mana. It's not max mana. There's a huge difference. Like for example, if you have 750 mana and you have 100 missing, you're gonna regenerate only 1.5 mana. It's ridiculous. This sucks. But if you have 0 mana, you're gonna regenerate 11 on 5 seconds. It's not that bad. And for Kassadin, this is Poppy. This is Kassadin. You're gonna regenerate 23 mana every 5 seconds. So if you have like an Archangel thing, or Rod of the Ages, you're gonna regenerate for 2,300 mana and 0 mana in your bar. 34 mana per 5 seconds. Add to this the normal regeneration you have on every champion. That means every 10 seconds or so, without the mana regen, the base is 15, but with it it's something like every 10 seconds or so you'll be able to cast a spell with Annie. It's not that bad. This one just did the calculations because 0.06 doesn't speak to many people, so it gives 8, which isn't too bad, because if you compare it to the runes and so on, well, 8 is what you have. It's not that bad. And this one is completely overpowered. This thing is awesome. If you take it into account, my cat is meowing behind me. No. Yeah, well. That means you're gonna do between 110 and 125 damage, and it's AoE damage on champions. After armor, well, in this case, magic resist application for 100 magic resist. Yes, I took 100 this time. Shut up. So, like, if you have the Mercury threads and you have the runes, well, you're almost at 100 on most champions. So that's why I took it into account. And that means if you have 5 champions that are stacked together, for example, Oriana just ultied the enemy team with a perfect ultimate. She's awesome. Well, if you manage to land this mastery thing, you're gonna do like 500 to 625 damage. It's huge. Compared to other stuff like this one that does 40 damage per auto attack, you're like, 40? 600? Yeah, OP. There. So, for the last thing, as I said, the calculations are here. So like if you have 1000 HP and you have 100 armor, this one will give 150 damage necessary to kill you as a bonus. And if you have 200 armor, it goes to 300 damage needed to kill you, and so on. So it's quite interesting. And there's a bonus to the shield and heals. That's self-explanatory. And for the last part, this thing gives 6% armor and magic resist. Which means for 100 armor and 1000 HP, we will need 60 bonus damage to kill you. Wow! Isn't that bad? But isn't that awesome either? It sucks. This one, all the rest is self-explanatory, that's why I don't really insist on anything. This one is interesting only if you take the Mercury Jet, otherwise it's quite useless. It's really awesome on Irelia, because she has a passive that does that as well, and it stacks with the Mercury Treads. So that almost makes you impervious to controls on Irelia. Well, this is 15 armor and magic resist on a 5-man fight. Not that bad, but not that awesome either. And this thing is, I think, the weakest mastery in the game as a key mastery, because it gives you 3% of your max HP as magic damage bonus that you steal from the target. So that means for 1000 HP, you're gonna do 15 damage with the magic resist. It is ridiculously low, 15 damage. Wow. It's every 4 seconds. This thing is just so weak. Compared to this one that gives you 300 max HP, 300 is almost the 1000 gold item thing. It's 2 of these. It's really interesting. The 1000 gold thing is this. Whatever it's called. Giant stealth. I don't know. And this one gives a reduction that for 100 armor and 1000 HP will be 20 damage necessary to kill you. Which means if you have the other one, it's gonna be 80 total. And if you're next to an enemy, a friendly champ, it's multiplied by 4. Which means we're gonna need a total, if you have both of these, of 140 damage necessary to kill you as bonus damage. But take into account that you're gonna take damage from your allies, which means it might kill you even faster than if you didn't have it. It might be dangerous. So it's not all that bad, but it's not all that good either. There we go. So yeah, overpowered.